Welcome to the video, guys. So, the New York Times or its authors have been up to no good yet again. And as expected, it's in relation to Trump. Because the only thing more potent in America than the current human malware situation is the Trump derangement syndrome that these woke journalists and media types have been completely infected with. To the point where they're even putting deceptively edited quotes out there from the president relating to the current human malware crisis. So, pretty low if you ask me. And Breitbart have picked up on this, calling them out for it, as well as people on Twitter who heavily ratioed most of their tweets. Breitbart's article headlines, New York Times authors deceptively edit Trump quote on medical ventilators, and one of them even has the audacity to try and defend her deceptively edited tweet. It's literally New York Times level of low. At least 8 New York Times authors shared a deceptively edited quote Monday from President Donald Trump's recent call with state governors, creating the false impression that the president is denying federal support for ventilators that are needed in hospital treating human malware patients. In his message, the president recommended that states procure respirators and ventilators because it would be faster, but added that the federal government will be backing you, which you will all agree is a good statement to hear from the president at a time of need. He is telling them, get what you can yourselves, we will be here to back you up if you are struggling to source them. The Times journalists omitted the bulk of the president's statement as they shared the story on social media. The misleading partial quote was also boosted by a CNN correspondent and became the lead headline at the left-wing Huffington Post. Yeah, because I assume they just took the tweet and didn't actually bother reading the article or his quotes that came with it. Despite growing online backlash to this misinformation, the journalists have yet to delete or retract their comments, and they literally do. I have them pulled up, we'll get them up in a moment. The 8 journalists tweeted a link to a Times article published Monday that contains President Trump's full statement to state governors, in which the president recommended that they shouldn't wait for the federal government to fill the growing demand for respirators needed to treat people with human malware. Respirators, ventilators, all of the equipment. Try getting it yourself, President Trump told the governors during the Monday conference call. We will be backing you, but try getting it yourselves. Point of sale, much better, much more direct if you can get it yourself, which is kind of obvious. And in no way can be used against him unless, of course, you're the New York Times or its authors, because they will just take a piece of his quote out of context and run with it for what they thought would be clicks and likes. In the end, though, they got roasted on Twitter and now in this Breitbart article. In the body of their post, the Times journalist left out most of what the president said. Imagine my shock. Times national correspondent Julie Bosman tweeted only the third part of the president's statement, leaving out the part where he said the federal government will back the states. And no, here's her tweet with an absolutely terrible ratio. 6,900 likes to 11,200 comments. So she has been raked over the coals by her Twitter followers and probably people who don't follow her, with the top comment sitting there saying hashtag fake news, which is practically what the New York Times is. Bosman, reacting to intense backlash, defended herself by inaccurately claiming the second part of the quote repeats the first part twice. In fact, the second part of the president's statement says the federal government will be backing you, talking about the individual states in America. So, her claim that he says exactly the same thing is complete nonsense, which even blue checkmark people on Twitter were calling her out for. I would say you literally couldn't make this up, but we all know what the rabid left-wing anti-Trump media are like. TDS on a massive scale, I think you will agree. Mara Gay, a member of the Times editorial board, also left out most of what the president said. She also falsely accused the president of telling governors that they are on their own. In actuality, the president said in his full quote, the federal government will be backing you, as we already know. Oh, what do you know? Heavily ratioed, 9,900 likes to over 17,000 comments, calling her out for it. Look, remember their names. Mara Gay trying to mislead the public during a global pandemic because she hates the president and his voters. Take a break, Mara. You need it, and so do we. Just 10 days ago, Gay was involved in another embarrassing episode for corporate media, where she and MSNBC anchor Brian Williams horribly botched basic maths to claim that billionaire Michael Bloomberg could have given every American $1 million. In reality, the amount he spent amounts to less than $2 per person, which I remember seeing a few videos on that at the time. It was comical. But from these rabid socialist types, does not really surprise me. Other Times journalists who tweeted only the first part of the president's quote included Chief White House correspondent Peter Baker, Northwest reporter Mike Baker, arts reporter Michael Cooper, investigative reporter Sharon LaFarini, editor Clifford Levy, and contributor Aaron E. Carroll, which you can all see here, and I'm not going to go through. They've all been ratioed to hell, but you can see there's a fair old few of them that have been up to it, without once pointing out what Trump actually said in full. The official Times Twitter account also omitted the majority of the president's quote when it pushed out the article on Monday. Of course they did. CNN's Oliver Darcy also shared the incomplete quote and has not addressed the dozens of fact checks in response. And of course he won't. He wants that quote out there as it is, in the hope that no one bothers to read through what Trump actually said, and instead just joins him in his Trump derangement syndrome, thinking that Trump doesn't care about the people in the individual states. All of the posts were still up at the time of writing this, despite mounting criticism about their accuracy, as we just see. But these people here, they don't care about accuracy, they're just the dirty smear merchants. We have them here in the UK, and America has them in at least equal measure. American or UK journalists, 99% of them are snivelling shitweasels. Now before I go, I've started doing live streams and uploading gaming content on my second channel. If you would like to come and join me for a live stream to chat in real time, have an interest in gaming related content on YouTube, or just want to follow me over there because you are a legend, the link will be down in the video description below and as a pinned comment. I hope to see you all there. Now as always, before I go, I want to thank our PayPal, Patreon, Subscribestar and YouTube members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe with the notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I will see you all in the next one.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors. Slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going, and we are glad to be going. We're off.